in 5 seconds. Right, again, everyone, good afternoon. Thanks for coming for this afternoon's webinar. Today I'd like to go over the application of what you can do with CGAR, the Mimaki's newest model cutting plotter. The CGAR series, we've got, as you can see in the CGAR series on the photo, we have 3 sizes available. However, in the Australian, New Zealand market, we will have less demand for 100 centimeters. So we are distributing 60 centimeters, which is the basic desktop. And we have 130 centimeters, which is a standalone with a standard comes with. All right, I'll go over the basic the specification and system configuration of the machine first, and then we move to the specific application regards to a paper craft application. All right, the benefit of CGAR series cutting plotter can provide. So there are actually 4 points. The first one, high load cutting plotter with a stable functionality. So machine is really, the different machine has really different construction comparing to a CG60 or CG-SR3 cutting plotter, which is obsolete in 3 months ago. And we have the new construction of the machine as well as the we have supporting 550 grams of down pressure. This is a cutting plotter. You can do up to 550 grams of down force, which is a 10% increase from previous CG-SR3 series. Also, it is the highest range within this market. The industrial cutting plotter. It is really rare to find the blade pressure, down force pressure more than 500 grams from competitors. The cutting speed is slightly increased. However, the cutting speed of SR3 is already the highest in the market of this industrial printer. So basically, this printer, this cutting plotters, its product, its the price range of between $2,000 to $4,000. It is the fastest cutting speed in the market. The machine also supports the application with the thick paper cutting for paper craft and packaging application to up to A3 size. Standard pinch roller, we have up to 3 pinch rollers in a desktop model. So the 3 pinch rollers will support the the supporters of various different materials, starting with a PVC, vinyl, and paper, and up to a thicker paper for packaging process. Improved cutting efficiency. We support the ID cut, which is the barcode print and cut. The combining with the the Mimaki printer, so you can do with no additional cost. You can do seamless print then cut function by combining this software which comes with cutting plotter and the Mimaki printer. You have a capability of remote control. You can just download a Mimaki app from Apple Store or Windows Store or the Google Shop free of charge to install the control app software into your smartphone. As long as you are in the same range, same network range within your plotter, you are able to control from your control panel without touching the operational panel on the cutting plotter. Ethernet is supported, so it is really the rare case that this low-end cutting plotter does support Ethernet connectivity besides the USB connection. The more advanced usability. The biggest point for software side is the Mimaki CG-AR series does support Windows plotter driver from Mimaki website. So without buying investing in any design software, which is Adobe Illustrator or CorelDRAW, which costs minimum to a couple $100, you are able to cut through the Windows apps such as Microsoft Excel and Word and PowerPoint to draw the line and cut straight away directly. Regarding system configuration, we support Windows and Macintosh, the Mac OS. For Windows, you are able to connect via Ethernet and USB cable to AR plotter. For Mac OS, since Mimaki driver doesn't support Mac OS, you are able to only use the Ethernet connector, the Ethernet cable to connect directly. The plotter also has the RS, the serial 232C interface in case if you want the hardwire connection for the command, except for Ethernet. It supports all the software we have. It supports up to the Fine Cut plugin. We support up to 2020 for Adobe Illustrator as well as CorelDRAW recently. And we also have the Windows driver to output from Windows, the standard software, as well as we have a simple pop software comes with a plotter in order to both design and cut without buying the separate design software such as Adobe Illustrator or CorelDRAW. For the optional item, 60 centimeters, we've got, for 60 centimeters, the stand for the machine is an optional item. So it only comes as a desktop cutter. The media basket is also the optional item. You have other options in order to do the extended packaging application. So you need to buy those 4 items, besides the cutting plotter, the sheet table, cutting sheet, creasing tool, and the cutting for the cutter for heavy paper. I will explain what they are later on.
Sorry, Thomas, and just one question. Sorry. Yep. If you can please just go back to the previous page.
Sure. Yep.
Thank you. What's this? A new Simple Pop? Is that a software? New Simple Pop?
Yes, Simple Pop is the software which comes with a CGAR series. What it is that it's kind of an upgraded edition of the Simple Cut, which comes with the older cutting plotter. The Simple Cut or Simple Pop is a standalone software. It's not a plugin for Adobe, but it's a standalone like rastering software you can install into a computer, which is only the Windows. And after that, you can open and you can draw the EPS. You can draw the object as the EPS as a PostScript line. And you can actually cut from that software directly to a cutting plotter.
Got it.
Which is actually a Simple Cut, yes. But the Simple Pop is designed for the 4 years ago, developed in 4 years ago, regards to the simpler software for making retail pop. If you have the 30% or 50% discount letter, and if you want to make like a contrast sticker, that way, instead of going for the Adobe Illustrator to design the word and the making a shape to the cut for print and cut, we have a Simple Pop software does come with the more than 1,000 different shape of the template. You also have the template for print. So basically, the Simple Pop you are able to print from print through the rastering 7. With a Mimaki printer. Also, you can cut directly from a Simple Pop software.
So it's just making it easier to cut rather than going through all the way to Adobe Illustrator. Simple Pop is giving us the opportunity to cut easily.
Correct.
And with all different types of shapes, as you mentioned.
Correct. Well, what's the most beauty thing on the Simple Pop? It has more than 1,000 different template for print design and cut design. So, for example, if you are drawing like some retail pop, you need to have the thin part, that comes from the store shelf, and has the wider shape, like a round shape or rectangular shape, which has the discount information and the product information. So you don't need to make individual lines like what's on Adobe. but you can
Yep.
actually pick up that standard, one of the standard template for cutting.
Yep.
So which really, as long as you do not have so much detailed specifications, it is a software to make something general very quickly.
Quickly. Yep. Thank you.
All right, regards to application possibly, most of the cutting plotter in the marketplace does support the everything in this page except for what's in the the red rectangle. So you can do by having the the standard cutting plotter, you can do the sticker label for print and cut. Well, some of the machine does not have the print registration mark reading. So that way you can only do like a sign letters for the cut letters. But as long as cutting plotter is capable for reading the crop mark for the where the printing is, you can do the sticker. You can do sticker application, which can be done in most of the national brand cutting plotter today. Also labels, pops, signboards, traffic sign, wall signs, or the bigger portion is this iron rubber, which is a heat transfer vinyl for T-shirts, promotional item print, the cutting. So you can do those applications with most of the cutting plotter in the marketplace. So we adding today with the CGAR plotter with the possibility of doing a paper craft and packaging. All right, the reason the CGAR series can do the paper craft and the paper craft and packaging is because first of all, you need to have this control in the cutting plotter regards to die cut. So besides the normal cut, which you are only cutting the surface of the vinyl, which remains the liner sheet, the releasing paper on the behind, which can be done by most of our cutting plotter. However, doing a die cut is basically cutting all the way through to the material. Because anything roll-to-roll printer, roll-to-roll cutting plotter with a pinch roller feeding, the pinch roller may be stuck on the where the die cut is finished. That way, there's a possibility for jamming. That is the reason why we don't recommend to do a die cut with a normal roll-fed, pinch roller roll-fed cutting plotter. However, the CGAR series, because of the additional pressure of the pinch roller, additional pinch rollers, also the support of the cutting film, we are able to do a die cut. Right, let me explain regards to this cutting film for the paper craft application. So to the paper craft application, you need to have first the seat table, which is around $100 of optional item, which is not consumable. You can set 4 pieces of support table, 2 in the front side and 2 in the back side. That way, the cutting plotter will feed back and forth the thick paper as the flat surface, not like a roll to roll, not like a film feeding, sheet feeding. The second one is regards to cutting sheet. The cutting sheet is this transparent film. Let me just show you what it is. All right, regards to the cutting film, the cutting sheet, this is like the half transparent, the sheet, which is slightly bigger than A3 size. What it is the after you peel off the liner sheet, which it was before, and you have the just A3 size of the sticky part of the film. Okay, in this sticky part, you are basically setting the up to A3 size of the packaging paper, which is about up to 600 GSM, the gram per square meters. What I used yesterday for testing was 400 grams per square meter. And one side should be, smooth coating for the printing. The other side can be gray and without a coating. You basically put this, well, it's already cut before, but suppose it is still the white paper, and you basically put this onto the sticky part of the film, right, like this. That way, this the cutting film is to prevent the blade goes through to the the bottom of the sheet in order to protect the paper from jamming. So you must have this cutting sheet, and this cutting sheet is still consumable. From a spec sheet, it works for the the 10 to 20 sheets cutting for the packaging. However, yesterday I tested for about 50 sheets. What's happened was that there is lots of the lint, and the lint is actually sticking onto the sticky part of the film. So that means that you have a limitation to keep using it. However, yesterday I've done with one sheet and done the 50 jobs, 50 A3 sheets, which has done no problem at all. As long as this, the paper will not move, the left and right, front and back, by support of this, the thickness of the film, it still works. You don't need to have the, the vacuum, I would say like, really squeezed pressure for, attach the paper. As long as, some certain point is held by this thickness of the film, and it works for a long time. Also, when the thickness gets lower, you can still, the spray the glue from a stationary shop, just buy the water-based glue and spray. That way you can still the continue using it until it gets cut out. Which I had the a few like a cutting mark. It didn't go through, but it's just I use a higher pressure in the beginning, which is a 500 grams. Sorry, 300 grams to cut through the the packaging paper. But still, it didn't make any holes, during the cutting of 50 sheets. The cutter for heavy paper, the blade comes with a plotter. It's a generic blade for the only PVC, the thin film cutting. So for the the packaging paper cutting, you must have this specific blade for the heavy paper. Otherwise, you can expect the the tip of the blade is breaking, because the original blade, the default blade from the cutting plotter is just for the thin, the thin material. The creasing tool, it is just looks like I don't have a sample today, but it just looks like the the ballpoint pen, the tip of the ballpoint pen, but without any inks. So you can still alternate with the ballpoint pen if you just the end out the inks are already empty. And as long as you basically use the 550 grams of pressure for the creasing, for the creasing the layer. So as long as tip of the ballpoint pen will not break with the 550 grams, then you can still alternate with the ballpoint pen, the empty ballpoint pen. Right, the other the advantage of CGAR series. So when you have the 60 centimeters, that you can, well, any of the sides, you can lower or higher the pressure of the pinch rollers. So if you are cutting really the thick material such as packaging paper, also the reflective signage film, which is really thick, that way you should set up with a higher mode, so you can just lift up the lever in order to make it higher. So you have more tension from the spring. If you are doing just a standard vinyl for the vinyl letters or the heat transfer vinyl cutting, you can do with the the lower pressure mode. So you can just pull down the lever from pinch roller to make a spring shorter. The CG60SR3, sorry, CG60AR, you have additional pinch rollers. Instead of only have two pieces of a pinch roller for previous model, you have the third pinch roller in the middle. So this, the middle pinch roller, not only changing the pressure up and down, but also you can have the lift up and down for the middle pinch roller. Because if you are using the high density paper, the package for the packaging application, you'd like to have the all 3 pinch rollers on. But for the stable holding, however, for the thin film, or in case if you are doing a print and cut from out of a UV printer, that way middle of the pinch roller has possibility to leave a tracking mark from the pinch roller on the printing side. That way you can just try the bring a pinch roller on, pinch roller up. That way there is a less risk for messing up the surface of the print. But these are the generic part of the the cutting plotter. Just the one important thing regards to the variety of the cutting blade. So besides what's used for the packaging paper cutting, we have standard the 6 standard blades in our product list. Let me explain quickly. The first one is SPB 0030, which is a standard. This is the blade attached for the every cutting plotter from Mimaki, which is designed for the kiss cut which means the only sticky layer cut for the generic vinyl. The cutting plotter comes with only 1 piece. If you buy the stock, it comes with 3 pieces. We've got other blade, the SPB 0001. This is a carbide blade, which has the same size, same dimension as what's on the SPB 0030, but it has a different coating in order to cut the the PVC film with as well as the liner paper. So it works for the more to the how you say the half cut, the sewing cut. So like cut through, go up, and cut through and go up. That application. So if you do more to the like a vehicle wrapping or the sign letters, the job, you should keep getting SPB 0030. But if you are doing more to the sticker job, which you have more chance to do the half cut, not only a kiss cut and pin, the punch the object out to sell individually to someone, then you should use SPB 0001 for more to the more durable knife for the die cut. The blade for small letters has the same property as what's on carbide cutter, but it's really the thinner knife, because this is a knife to cut the small letter the lower than the 20 millimeters of the dimension. So the tip of the blade is actually half size of the the standard blade for doing the cleaner cutter, the clean cut for the small letters. Like if you want to make like this much small Mimaki, well, this is sewing, the embroidery. But if you want to do like a heat transfer for your company logo on the shirts, that this blade is the one to use for that application. Blade for reflective sheets and blade for fluorescent sheets, it really depends on the what's the hardness and what's the thickness of the the vinyl you are using for cutting. Like if you are using normal print vinyl or the colored material, colored vinyl from the marketplace, most of the time SPB 0030 and SPB 0001 will work. However, there's like a traffic vinyl that is used for the traffic signage, and there are also the fluorescent vinyl, which is like I would say reflective vinyl, for the putting onto the like a side of the car, or putting onto the the kids uniform and so on. Those material should be cut with the higher durable high durable knife, which is SPB 0006, SPB 0007. The cutter for thick rubber is used for the, when you go to the, the cemetery, when you look at your cemetery stone, not yours, but cemetery stone in general. In a cemetery stone, there's an engraved letter of the, Mr. Something, passed away when, and, whatever, best pray or whatever. Those letters are, made from a sandblasting. And sandblasting, the sandblasting rubber, is normally cut by this type of the the cutting plotter, because you don't need like 1,000 pieces for one cemetery stone, but you just need only one piece digitally cut for the sandblasting cemetery stone. For that, the 0.6 millimeters of the rubber sheet for the sandblasting purpose, it's normally cut with SPB 0084, which supports up to 0.8 millimeters of thickness. All right, once I explain this document, then I'd like to move to the, the workflow, how you create the paper craft. It is simple once you understand, once you play by yourself. But it is important that you play within 5 days, 5 business days, for what to do and how you do. Otherwise, you will, I can tell you, without doing this by yourself, you will forget, within 2 weeks what to do. But let me just, go over. All right, today I'd like to just show you. Sorry, was I missing my whole presentation in the last couple of minutes? All right. So we just went through. Sorry, we just went through to the the type of the blade here in the presentation. Also, I went through to the reason we've got the additional pinch roller just in the last 5 minutes. Also, the the cutting consumables for the packaging. Apologize for this. All right, today what I was going to show you is this. This is one of the paper craft, the resulting application which I've done with our demo machine. And what it is basically, the we cut and then we create for 3 pieces. Okay, this is just a modeling, the paper model of the watch, the wristwatch. And I've got this as the wrist stand, right? And basically how it works is you can just use as the just a mock-up display of the watch and watch stand. I like this. In order to do this, the application, it is important to have the capability in the cutting plotter. One is for die cut, and other one is for the creasing. Look at this shape here. All right. After you do the cut, you need to fold around here where you need to, and you need to stick with a glue for wherever it's joined. So besides just a die cut, you need to have a possibility for creasing in order to make a creasing line for the where to fold, right? So basically what I'm saying is this job, this paper craft job is done by 2 layers of the cut, right? Let me just show you the, let me just go through the, just step by step. Right, the system configuration we use is the, okay, of course, we use a computer with the design software, Adobe Illustrator or CorelDRAW for print and cut. So we print with UJF series by rastering 7. And after that, we cut from a fine cut, which was installed on Adobe Illustrator or CorelDRAW. And we basically remove the cut result, and we actually put it together as the paper craft. All right, first of all, you need to prepare the data. There are lots of data in the marketplace, the free to download, prepared, for the paper craft. So as long as this paper craft, the data is less than A3 size, it fits into the paper and it's within the spec of the cutting plotter. So most of the case, and if you download and open this cutting data by EPS or PDF file, it's separated to 3 layers. One for print image, other one for cut line, and other one for creasing line. It is important in the PDF or EPS or data in Illustrator that the 3 layers are separated like this, cut line and creasing line, because when you output a cutting from a fine cut to CGAR series, separating the layer is how you can separate the cutting condition between the cut and the creasing. Right, after you've got the data, you need to make the registration mark for print and cut registration, and save the data as EPS data. That way, you can print the file, and you can cut with a cut line, and you can do seamless cut with creasing line. Okay, there's a lot of workflow, but I think I thought it's faster to show the workflow from my laptop with Adobe Illustrator. So let me share my Adobe Illustrator from other computer now. All right, what I've got here now is the data. This is one of the data for the watch, the wristwatch. However, this wristwatch has got the 4 separated, four separated design. So this, the EPS is only for the design. That is for the, the watching or the watch part. But you need to have the other part as well for the, one part of the stamp, second part of the stamp, third part of the stamp. Right, today, let me, just now concentrate to the, what's on the first page. All right, the data for the watch. Basically, what it is we should not have any of the both, but we've got only the print data and cutting data. And if you look at here, you've got a cut line and fold line and print image. All right, once you prepare that, you need to use the rectangle tool to start making a registration mark. So this rectangle tool should cover the entire print object like this. So make sure this, that this rectangle, which will be converted to the crop mark, the registration mark, should be in the outside of every object you are printing and cutting. So after you make this object, the rectangle, you simply choose the registration mark creation tool from a fine cut. So you can decide lots of things. You can choose lots of things: mark shape, mark size, and line width. Let's start from mark shape. I would like to have the L shape to the outside. The mark size, recommended is 10 millimeters. I will just keep it as 10. The line width is 1 millimeter. So let's just leave as is and click OK. So that way it makes the crop mark just outside of the entire print data. So once you've done that, all right, just to make sure you are just showing what to print. This time, I'd like to print everything, including those, the cutting line. So I just want to make sure that those cutting line is also printed, and the cut position is matching up with the line as well. So once you do that, you just save the file as either EPS or PDF. Well, it's recommended for EPS to save. All right, once you saved, then you can go to a rastering software in order to choose as a print data and print with a UJF. Today, I've got a UJF 3042 Mark II. So just in case, I've set the, well, this size is, is close to A4. So it is, big enough to print onto the, the A3 size, small enough to print on A3 size of the paper. So I use the UJF Mark II, which is the entire table size is also A3. So I just make it to arranging in the center to print onto the, to print on the side of, center of the paper. Also, because we'd like to have more space on the back side, but I just put the an extra space for front side as well, for 20 millimeters. All right, once you've done that, go to a QMark, go to print quality. And for this cardboard, coated cardboard stock, the paper, you don't really need to care about the print condition unless other than selecting two paths. So today I just set the white pet gloss, which is really the default or standard profile, and 600 by 600 dpi 8 paths to print. Once you set that, you just go to Go Mark and printing. All right, after the print is done, you need to set up the the printed paper onto a cutting plotter. Once you set up in a cutting plotter, you go back to Adobe Illustrator. Which is fine cut, in order to do a cutting. All right, for cutting, it's recommended first, go to a layers menu in Adobe Illustrator, and you need to hide. You need to hide the print data. So it only shows the cut layer and the folding layer. Let me just remove a register mark here, and I just have one set of registration mark still there. All right, for cutting with a registration mark, this is what you only, well, because what's showing in the display is what to cut. So if you're showing a print image, it will cut also print data, which is lots of data. But I just do not want to do it. All right, once you select the cut line, folding line, and registration mark, you go to fine cut and for cut. For the cut button, let me just go back and do it again. For this the first icon, which is for cutting. All right, once you get to it, before you go to plot, you need to set up something. First, the registration mark. Because you are doing a registration mark detection and cut, so you must select register mark and detect mark. So that way, your display will instantly change to the the matching the entire job to be a display. All right, next is regards to the layer and colors. What we want to do is we've got 3 different layers: registration mark, cut line, and folding line, which follows from Adobe Illustrator layer. And we would like to put a different print condition, sorry, the cutting condition for each layer, because we would like to do a die cut for cut, and we would like to creasing for fold. So to do it, you need to click this little triangle button. So there, the sub option is showing. So today, I'd like to specify the tool on each layer. Click that. That way, there is a sub menu appears as a drop down. So this is basically what tool menu in a cutting plotter to use for drawing individual layers. Okay, now the thinking time will start. What we need to do first is, okay, what layer do you want to cut? What do you want to crease? And first of all, the FC registration mark layer. The registration mark is a little L shape, which that we printed for the registration for cut. This was for printing, but I don't want to cut that L shape. So I need to cancel or unpick the registration mark layer. Otherwise, it will cut off the L shape during your job. Well, you have you have probably the reason to do it sometimes, but today I just untick it. Next one is cut line folding line. The cut line you need to preset onto the cutting plotter in case if you want to set a cut one condition to be for the normal binary cutter and the cut two as the cutter for a thick paper. So depends on how you are setting on the cutting plotter, but just select what's set up properly for the thick paper. I will do just cut two at today. The third one is regards to fold line. The fold line we use CRE, which stands for creasing. So we have an exclusive menu for creasing in the CGAR. So choose creasing at this time. The reason we've got a creasing condition, besides the CT cut 1 through 6. Through 6, yes, cut 1 through 6 is because the creasing you do not have to have the offset because in the creasing tool, the center of the tool is the center of the position, the center of the tool, and you just need to set what's the speed and what's the the depth, what's the force pressure. But anyway, we set up in the tool and the cut tool. Right here, it starts with one other most important part, which is the order to cut. Thinking time again. If you are doing this job, cut and creasing. All right, die cut and creasing. Which one you need to do first? Which one you need to do second? But it technically doesn't matter. However, the issue is if you cut first, and if you crease second, there's a possibility that this small object will move after the cutting. So creasing may have the chance to jam the media. That way, we recommend to the creasing first, where the entire media is still left without cutting, and then we do the cutting second. For fine cut, it always runs the bottom layer first and then top layer. So this time we would like to make sure that the cut line goes to after the folding line. So you can change this layer instantly from the fine cut, folding first or cut first. All right, today I need to set fold first, folding first and cut first, as I told you. After you set that, you go to plot. All right, before pressing plotting button, what's other importance is the ticking here, each layer, sorting for each layer. What it's doing is sometimes, well, it's a different option. When you have there lots of objects in the same job, instead of it cuts here, it does the cut and creasing. It does a cut and creasing, cut and creasing, cut and creasing instead of moving lots of times. However, this the cut and creasing, because we need to change the tool during the job. After creasing is done, you need to change the tool by yourself. So there's no way that you can do the cut and creasing individual object. So you need to finish creasing first, then do a cutting. So you must select each layer for sorting. All right, then click plot button. I'm gonna give you the quick the video just to wrap up today's session regards to the packaging application. Sorry, the paper craft application. Well, let me play this from beginning. All right, let me stop now, and I would like to explain a little bit in here. So regards to a cutting condition and creasing condition, I think there are a few discrepancy here between what's written here and what's written in the bottom. However, yesterday, regards to 400 grams per square meters, 0.6 millimeters of the, paper cutting for, the paper craft application, what the condition I used for cutting was, I used the 300 grams pressure and 20 centimeters per second speed. I tried 200 grams first, but it didn't really complete the, complete cutting through. It didn't, it didn't cut through the, packaging paper, even the, the deeper, knife setting. So I just used the 300 grams instead. For creasing, I use a 550 grams and 5 centimeters. And I know that for creasing, you want to make sure that the lines are, it adds a line, the creasing line to be sure. However, still using a maximum pressure for 500 grams and 5 centimeters, it still didn't for the, it still didn't, leave the line for the folding enough. So I need to, I need to fold carefully. So in that case, you can still try with the even 2 centimeters of their speed. That way, it will have the more time to crease the line. So it really depends on what you try and how you want to do it. Let me continue the video now. Already, thank you for watching for the video. Lastly, I just wanna make one point of the notice. All right, the papercraft, the application sample which I made yesterday, with a demo machine. I've used the LUS 120 ink with LUS with UGF 6042 machine, or 3042 Mark II machine. And when you fold it, you will never see the the ink is the cracking or peeling off at the folding part, because it is just 90 degrees of the part. However, if you run with LH100 ink, you may see the ink starts cracking, even this is printed on the paper. So it's just one tip, when you see the ink starts cracking with LH100, it's probably worth to use the LUS 120 ink. All right, gentlemen, thanks for your time for this afternoon joining the webinar. And hopefully I will see you in next week as well for additional webinar. Thank you very much, and we finish recording.